Hello, my name is Megan Noel. I'm recovering from bulimia. I want to share my story and my timeline of my recovery because I want to give someone else hope who may be going through something similar. I started restricting and counting calories when I was 10. I did it because I didn't like the body I was in. I was insecure. I didn't like the changes that my body was going through. I felt like things were happening to me that were out of my control, and I wanted that control back. Things in my home life just were not in my control, and the only thing I could control was my academics and what I ate. So I did. I drowned myself in schoolwork, and I tried to not eat. I just neglected my body because I felt like I didn't deserve it. I thought that my body needed less. That's what I convinced myself in the worst of my restrictive phase. Whenever I was 12, everyone was like, hey, if you get sick, something really bad could happen because you are not a healthy weight. My family noticed that I wasn't eating enough at every meal. And what they didn't know was that I didn't eat any other time other than in front of them. And so they told me to gain weight. And so I finally let myself eat because I don't want to go somewhere. I want to stay exactly where I am. I don't want to leave school. I don't want to go to some treatment center. So I eat and I can't stop. It was like those years of not eating caught up to me and I lost all of the control, and that is how I fell into bulimia. I binged and I binged and I binged and I felt trapped. I lost control again. So what do? I put my finger down my throat. And I realized I can eat so much more. To the point where I can't stand up straight, I can eat that much. And I can take it all out. And each time I pulled the trigger by putting my finger down my throat, or whatever I had to put down my throat, I gave my body, I risked having a heart complication. I could have ended up dead on the bathroom floor every single time that I chose my eating disorder over myself. It started off as this comfort coping skill that gave me an escape that just numbed me for a few hours. Then I started suffering the repercussions. I couldn't function. I lost my social life. I didn't want to do anything but go home, eat as much as I could, throw up, maybe do my homework, and then continue the next day. That was what I was used to. It gave me comfort, and I was in control of that. And my family realizes after every meal I'm eating a lot more and I'm not staying around. I'm going to the bathroom. We had a guest bathroom and I would hide in there. And they put pieces together and they didn't know how to handle it. They were so terrified of addressing it to me because I wouldn't have accountability. I wasn't going to open up. I wasn't ready. But whenever I was ready, when I was 15, I started going to individualized therapy and seeing a dietitian. And I remember 15 and 16, during that time frame, I finally started opening up about some of the trauma I went through in my childhood. And I got more comfortable with my therapist. And I remember one day, school was getting to me too much. I couldn't make it to classes. I wasn't treated the same by my family or by any of my friends. Even my teachers noticed. I wasn't the same. And so I go to this session with my therapist and I tell her, hey, I need a higher level of care. I say I'm a threat to myself. I can't do what I want to do. I'm out of control. My eating disorder has completely taken over. And owning that in that moment saved my life. Because here I am today, telling you to call it when you need to. Like, you need to be able to call it, have that strength, and honor it. Tell people whenever you need help, because that's what I did. I reached out, and you know what she told me? She said, I know exactly where to send you. It's 2 hours away. We didn't have as many resources where I live, so we had to go somewhere else that was a distance. And she said, they'll take you, and you need to stay as long as you can. She said the first few days, don't fight it. You're going to want to leave. You're going to hate it. But it's what you need. It's what you need. And it's going to help you regain control. And so I remember my mom and my sister, we got the list of things I needed. We started the paperwork to get me admitted. And within 3 days, I was on the way. My suitcase with all my little glass retainers and my piercings because I didn't want them to close up. And I get there, and I'm 16 years old. I ended up there for 9 months. 6 of those months, I lived in the hospital residentially. And the remaining time, I was in partial hospitalization programming where my mother and I lived in a hotel near the facility. We'd go for 8 hours a day. And then for the rest of the night, we'd just try to follow a meal plan and just practice the skills. We were reading books about eating disorder recovery. We were drowning ourselves in the resources we were given because I wanted to live. My family wanted me to live. So 9 months of my life were gone. It felt like I go back to reality, and all of the skills and things, tools I was taught, they weren't that easy to apply to real life. I had to practice and practice, and I did not do perfect. I messed up. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't give up. That was not an option. It is never an option to give up. Because every single time I failed and it slipped up, because a slip is not a slide, my friends. One incident, you can turn that around. One accident, you can turn that around. You don't need to relapse. Once you realize that you can intercept the control that you are under, you are empowered and you are on your way to regain your life. And it's not easy. I failed. My tools did not work. I had to change them. I had to correct the formula that would result in what I wanted, which was to be safe, to be clean. And so I decided to move out at 17. Less than a year of me being home after treatment, I realized I was doing all the work. I wasn't free from behaviors, but I was still trying. And I wanted to be normal, so I moved out. And for 2 years, 17 to 19, I continued outpatient therapy. I continued with my psychiatrist. We've tried every medication, and you know what? My diagnosis has changed so many times as far as my mood disorder goes. We don't know what's wrong with me and my brain. So I've been a guinea pig as far as medications go, and at the end of the day, the biggest thing that can change me is me. Not the therapist, not the medication. You get out what you put into recovery. And I've given it my whole heart, my whole life. I put my entire life on pause because I realized there was no other choice. All of my options were gone. The only thing I knew was to eat and throw up. I couldn't handle what was going on in my brain. I felt trapped in my body, and I wanted to honor my body. I wanted to feel connected again with my body. And after 2 years of trial and error with those skills and continuous treatment, I finally found a place where I feel the most peaceful I have in my life. It's 2023 now, and I was in treatment in 2019, and I've continued outpatient since then. I've only thrown up one time this year. It is May. I used to throw up every day, multiple times a day. I spent all my money on food just for me to waste it. There is something to be said about the control that you put yourself under whenever you let your eating disorder creep in. It starts out as this little voice telling you that to do something different than what you would normally do, to not eat that meal because it's going to change something later on about your happiness. But then I realized the only happiness is in giving this life the full attention I can give it so that I can live my life and not just survive with these awful coping skills. I don't know if this makes sense, but in words, but you have to just try to choose the right thing every time and don't beat yourself up whenever you don't. Every time there's an option between eating that meal and not eating that meal, you have to check in with yourself and be like, how am I doing? What do I need right now? And you need to give that to yourself. You don't need to listen to that voice in your head telling you you don't deserve it. Because you deserve freedom. You don't need to be a slave to this disorder in your head. You deserve to live life to the fullest and do what you actually want to do in this world and not just rot. I lost myself before I even found myself in this life. And now I'm finally finding myself and finding peace and freedom. And it's terrifying. I'm 20 years old. I have my whole life ahead of me. And I feel like I'm so exhausted. This war I've been in, it's taken everything. And I've picked up the pieces. You can get better. I'm living proof that you can break it, the cycle. I break the cycle and I struggle every single day. 90% of the time I have intrusive racing thoughts. And it matters what I do about it, how I tend to my needs. I just want people to know that there's hope. Ask for support. Figure out what you need. Go see a therapist and develop healthy coping skills because you're going to need them. It's not natural just to know what to do whenever you get sad and overwhelmed and feel awful. Don't turn to those self-destructive behaviors. And the thing is that you don't normally choose to do it. You just kind of do it once and then you never find another option. Your brain just immediately goes to that because it's all it knows that works. And sometimes the things that are healthy don't work the first time. And that's what I'm saying. You have to keep on changing the things that you're doing whenever they don't work and make them work. Because you don't have the option to just sit in this cycle. You have to break it. Break the cycle. Find yourself, find your peace, find what you enjoy doing in this life. And don't ever stop trying to do that. I'm not done with my recovery. I'm not fully recovered. But I am so much further than I was. I didn't think I'd be here today, 4 years ago. And I am. I am here. And you can be too. You can find yourself. It's not too late. You're never too far gone. I thought there was no hope for me. And here I am. So, do with that what you will. Stay strong. Please keep trying. And don't give up. Love yourself.